Hello, welcome to video training. This is Inventory Control Chapter 1, Keying in Manual Orders. Okay, from the main menu, select Inventory Control. Now select Inventory Maintenance and Reports. As we talked about in the previous section, add inventory. That is for adding inventory, things that are sitting on your shelf. Now, what's going to happen is you're going to have orders coming in that you ordered prior to getting the software. Manual post orders is not the way you're typically going to be doing it once you get totally implemented and familiar with the system. But many dealers, what they'll do is they'll start off and they'll basically do their orders manually until they get very familiar with selling parts and creating some sales history. And then what they'll do is get into implementing the whole complete ordering system. So until you're comfortable with the system and comfortable with selling parts, creating history, you may want to use manual post orders. Let's select manual post orders. It wants to know who you are. Now, this is asking the vendor. Obviously, this is not putting inventory in where it could be of various different types of suppliers. This is an order that came in from one particular manufacturer. As we discussed earlier, you create a manufacturer file, a vendor file. If you know the code, you can type it in. This is our standard screen asking you a question. If you're not sure what to do, obviously the default here is lookup. These are all my suppliers. If your supplier is not here, go to vendor maintenance and add the vendor. Let's select Yamaha. Okay, because this is, we're telling the computer an order coming in, it says what's the date of the order. It's good to use the actual date, the date that it was received. If you're putting something in that came in a week ago, you may want to put that date in. There again, this is going to keep it in the history file, so you'll have a log now of everything that came in for that particular date. You'll be able to run a report to say, okay, what came in for Yamaha this month? What came in between this date and this date? So it's important to put accurate information in the computer. There's an old saying, garbage in, garbage out. So don't lie to the system. If this is an order that came in the beginning of the month, then type in the date or just select, hey, it came in on the 1st. The computer will automatically assign a PO number, or you can type in whatever number you want. It's a very simple screen. Now, we've already talked about lookup. We've talked about that in adding inventory. Basically, we're going to be typing in a part number, hitting the Enter key. It's going to come up with the exact same message as adding inventory. It's going to say in stock pot, which means this is something I have in inventory already. And now obviously I've got more. It's going to give me the description of the pot because we want you to verify, is this the right pot? You could be lucky enough to type in a wrong number, but it's actually a valid number coming from the manufacturer file. This message is going to be the same message we talked about in adding inventory, in stock, manufacturer pot, or not in system. Assuming, yes, this is what I want to use, I don't want to change the description, I'm going to hit the Enter key. It wants to know, okay, how many came in? I just got 100 more on this order. Okay, that's the price you should have paid. Now, if you're putting in stock or manufacturer type pots, there shouldn't be no need for changing the cost because it should be correct. If it's not correct, it's typically an example of maybe you don't have the newest price file. So there again, if you're adding manufacturer pots and the price is not correct, you probably want to call support and find out why. That shouldn't really be happening. It can happen occasionally. Sometimes the manufacturer will change a pot in between price updates, but it's not normal. So if you find you're doing that quite often, you need to give us a call and check it out. Because this is an in-stock pot, I'm just verifying the cost. Yes, that should be right. That should be right. I'm going to put it in the same place where I put it last time. I'm going to hit the Enter key one more time. Now, I don't need to click OK. I don't need to click any special buttons. The easiest way to do this, the fastest way to do this, if I've got 20 pots that just came in, I'm going to type in the pot number. I'm just going to hit Enter, verify all this stuff. Hit Enter. It's in my inventory. It's been updated. Cost me $125 so far. It's just like adding inventory. If in fact I made a mistake, I can hit the Enter key and say, oop, I accidentally put in 10 more than I want. I'm going to type in minus 10, hit Enter, Enter, boom, it's done. And now that's down to $112. BR9ES, enter. Yes, that's what I want. How many I got in? 10. Enter, enter, enter. I'm done. Okay, let's suppose we're adding a pot that we never had in inventory before. Well, the same thing's going to happen. If we go in, and you can type in pots with the dashes or without. When I hit the enter key, it's going to say, okay, that's what it is. There again, same exact message we're getting when we're adding inventory. All it's telling me is that it looked in the file cabinet of my in-stock pots, not anything I've ever stocked before. Obviously, this is the first time I've ever stocked this pot. So it's saying I'm getting that information from the manufacturer file. It's basically saying, okay, it's a piston ring set. I can change the description if I want. Typically, you're not going to be doing that. I'm going to be saying, okay, I got 10 of them in. There were 23 each. If in fact I want to change it, we can. This is exactly the same as adding inventory. If I wanted to calculate the selling price by hitting F3 and typing in the percentage, I can also do that. Obviously, I'd put my bin location in. And because this is the first time that we're adding this pot to our inventory, it's asking me, is it taxable? It defaults to taxable. If it is not, it's the same as adding inventory. I can click yes, non-taxable, yes, it's taxable. This is something you always want to typically select. It's basically saying eventually when I start really getting into the system, I'm going to want the computer to do orders for me. I want the computer to generate what we call a suggested stock order. If you're adding a particular pot that you're saying, you know what, I never want this to be on a suggested stock order. I want to take care of this myself. It's a specialty pot. I never want the computer to put it on a stock order. Then you'd uncheck mark that by hitting space or using the mouse. Typically, we recommend let the computer do it for you. Product code, we've talked about that. If the manufacturer supplied it, it would be there. Brand, there again, you can key that in. When I hit the enter key, that is now, it goes up. It keeps everything as if I typed it, so I know exactly what I did. This is what I just did. If I made a mistake and I want to change something, maybe I made a mistake spelling the bin location. Well, easiest thing to do is hit the enter key. I'm going to hit enter again. I don't need to change the quantity. What I really want to do is get down to the bin location and maybe put it in the way I really want it to. Hit the enter key. It's now been updated. So you're going to get the exact same messages. If I want to add a new pot, the same thing is going to happen. It's going to come up and say not in system. I can say no. I can say yes if I want to add it in. And this is typically what you're going to be doing when you're adding orders that came in for a non-catalog vendor. If the description is not the same, because it keeps it just like adding inventory to save you some typing, if it happened to be another piston, then I wouldn't have to type anything. If it happens to be something totally different, the minute I type something in, it clears the field, and now I put in my new description. I would type in my quantity. I'd hit the enter key or tab. If I need to go backwards, I can hit shift tab. I would type in the price. There again, it pays attention to decimals. So if it's $15, I can just type in 15. It'll default to $15. If I want to sell it for 30, I can type in 30. If I want to sell it for 30.01, I need to type in type 01. If the bin location happens to be the exact same place I'm putting the last one, which many times it is, I can hit the enter key. Enter, enter. The product code, I want to keep that the same. The brand, I want to keep the same. I don't have to type in any buttons. I don't have to use the mouse. When I hit the enter key, it's updated, and now we've got $550. The lookup works exactly the same as adding pots. It's a building block approach. Everything we're teaching you, there again, you don't want to skip any lessons because it's a building block. I'm going a little bit quicker here because we've gone over some of these same things. When I type in a pot number, it's looking in the file cabinet for in stock. If it finds it there, it says in stock. If it doesn't find it there, it looks in your catalog file and will say manufacturer file. If it doesn't find it there, it says not in system. If we do a lookup, it's the same thing. It goes to the pot I last typed. If I want to look at all Yamaha pots, I'm looking at every single Yamaha pot I have in inventory right now. If I click manufacturer file, I'm looking at every single pot, Yamaha pot that I have. And there again, you probably don't want to drag this and drag it down. You can't read anything that way. You basically want to just use the page down. If you know you're looking for a pot number that begins with 67, well, type in 67, then hit pot. There's anything that begins with 67. The more you type, the closer you're going to get. You can also do keyword lookup. Maybe I'm looking for anything with the word oil. If I can spell oil. And it's going to, there again, keyword is going to pick out anything with the word oil. If I was looking for 10W30, I'd type in 10W30. This will search my whole Yamaha file, which in this case happens to be about 225,000 numbers. If I want to see all manufacturers that say anything with oil, obviously I would do that, and now it's going to search every single manufacturer for anything that says the word oil. Now keep in mind, coil and oil are the same. So I might want to put a space here because obviously I'm getting the word coil too. So understanding how these keyword searches work are very... Now if I want to select this, or I select whatever I want, maybe I want to narrow it down just to Yamaha. And we'll select one of these pots right here. Hit escape, I'm done searching, and I want to use this cover right here. When I hit the enter key, it looks that up. Obviously that's a pot I've never had in inventory. It says manufacturer pot as I suggested, and I want to just type in, this is how many I have. I'm keeping the price the same. I might want to type in the bin location, enter, 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 enter. It's now in my inventory. I'm up to $917. This is the same thing. If I have a barcode and maybe I want to put a number on here, or maybe you can also do the same thing. We can hit F9. These are my numbers that I have. If I want to add an alternate number to this, I would hit add alternate number. Scan in my barcode. Of course, Yamaha uses pot numbers, so you wouldn't need to do that. You would put in the other supplier's number. If it was a valid number, which this isn't, it would actually look that number up and tell me what it would cost to buy it from that manufacturer if it was in my catalog file. So the same functions that you can do in adding inventory are also here on adding a manual order. And keep in mind that you're going to be doing this as a temporary basis. Typically, after you've used the system probably and you go live, typically after you go live for around 30 days, then you're going to want to start getting a little bit more sophisticated and getting into the ordering system. Now there's one other message that you may receive. As you are well aware, sometimes you're ordering things by cases. You want to be able to price them out by each. So let's go in and type in a pot number here, and I'm going to type in, and there again, I'm using Yamaha. And like I said before, whether you type in the dash or not type in the dash, it really doesn't matter. Now when I type this in, it's going to come up and it's going to say, okay, it's an in-stock pot. All right. But notice what it says here. It basically says this has a pack size of 10. I don't have any in stock right now. So what that means is when it sees that there's a pack size other than 1, it means that when I order it, I order 1 and I get 10. So let's just hit the enter key and let's just type in 2. Now when I hit the enter key here, it basically says, okay, what's the price? I just typed in 2. Was that price 2 cans or was it 2 cases? Now when I hit the enter key, it's going to come up with this screen right here. And basically what it's saying is that the price that you keyed in, does that mean it's $10 for each one and you really have 20 in stock and the retail price is 20? Or does it really mean that you're selling them by the case, which would be $100 your cost and $200 your selling price? So if the manufacturer, and some manufacturers, they're not all consistent, unfortunately. Some manufacturers will, in their manufacturer file, will basically say, hey, it's $100 a case, which makes it $10 a can because there's 10 in a case. Other manufacturers will give you the price as, hey, it's $10 a can, but it's going to cost you $100 for that. So in this case, I typed in 2. What I really was telling the computer is that I have 2 cases. So I'd select this. I can change the price to whatever I want here, but I'm going to say use sale price. Which means, okay, it changed the 2 that I typed in, and it said, okay, what you really meant was 2 cases. I'm breaking it out, so that's the way you're selling it, which you have 20 of them, and they're $10 each, and you're going to sell them for $20. I'd put my bin location in, if it wasn't in there already, and I'd hit the enter key, and now that's now been updated. So if you see that message coming up, typically what that means is that, yes, when I type in a quantity here, it's asking me, do you mean 10 pieces or do you mean 10 cases? So you can pick either one depending. So that's the only variation that you may see here. Obviously, you still have the same option here. If I type in another pot, I have the same option of being able to say, hey, I need to get to this screen, which allows me to change anything I want, or to look at statistics if I want to look at statistics and see what's been selling and what's been going on. It allows me to add notes and other options that I may want to do here. Now, when I'm done putting this order in, I can hit the escape key. At this time, it's going to say, do you want to print this order that you just put in? If you say yes, you can print it at a later date. If you say yes, then that's the default. As we know, the default is yes or no. I want to see it on the screen. This is the order number. There's the date of the order. This is how much this order is costing me. These are the pots that came in. It will now ask me if I want to print a bin location report. There again, because we told that it was an order coming in, the computer realizes that we need to put these pots away. Somebody's got to put them where they belong. So if you say yes, it will now print out a bin location report telling you where these pots go, and it'll sort it down by bin location. Next, it'll ask you if you want to print out barcodes. And obviously, it'll give you the option of printing barcode labels if you wish. Okay, we have just entered a manual order. Now, keep in mind, this is a temporary basis. What you really want to do is get using the system, implement the system. We recommend that you get very familiar and very comfortable with just doing the basics, putting your inventory in, selling your inventory, and then in the later chapters, we're going to get involved in ordering. Okay, this concludes this section of manually posting an order.